Feels like a long time since I sat in front of this camera. Hey guys, welcome to a brand new review. I know I haven't done one in about a week since my Moana review, which I did early, but I finally saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I'm finally ready to talk about it. This film was directed by David Yates, who also directed like 4 or 5 of the other Harry Potter films, and was written by J.K. Rowling. It's her first real screenplay away from the Harry Potter films. The film stars Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander, who actually wrote Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, obviously the same name as the movie. Now, the book is actually a standard book required by Hogwarts when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are all attending Hogwarts. So it's become a very popular book, so much so that it becomes a standard reading textbook. Now, I'm sure you've heard most of that information as well as the synopsis, so I'm going to keep it fairly brief. This story takes place before Newt finishes his famous book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. He travels to New York in 1926 with a suitcase filled with magical creatures. They are let loose through a series of circumstances, and Newt has to track them down and put them back in his case before they cause too much mayhem or before they become harmed by humans or the magical community.
Put this on.
Why would I have to wear something like this?
Because your skull is susceptible to breakage under immense force.
Meanwhile, a struggle is occurring in America between the MACUSA, aka the American Wizarding Government, and an uprising of a group called the Second Salemers, who's trying to expose wizardkind and expose it to magic as well as kill off any witches or wizards. That's basically the gist of this film. This is going to be a fairly quick review. I have a lot of other things I really want to talk about in this talking about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. A lot of questions I have that I may answer myself. I'm not entirely sure, as well as a lot of things I don't want to spoil here. This is spoiler free, so I don't really want to talk about a whole lot. I'm going to get through some basic stuff, give you the grade, and get out of here because there's another video that I'll be posting where I'm going to really get into some nitty gritty stuff here. So before I get into the real review stuff about this film, there's something magical that I've always connected to with the Harry Potter films. And I think not only because it's a magical world, but the release dates always sort of happen in mid to late November, which are very, very close to my birthday. They usually come out right before or right after. Also, the first film came out in 2001, the day before my 11th birthday, which if you're a big Harry Potter fan, you know the 11th birthday is usually when you first get your Hogwarts letter. I'm just going to assume mine got lost in the mail. Anyway, this film was no exception. It very much followed suit and did come out with a mid-November release right around my birthday, so it did very much feel a part of that tradition. So let's get into talking about Fantastic Beasts. Now let's first talk about the story. Now the story I really actually liked a lot. It was extremely bold for them to move away from actually Harry Potter. We've had Harry Potter for a total of 8 movies. There were 7 books, but they split the last one into 2. It was interesting to see a new story, something original. It wasn't based on anything. There was a Fantastic Beasts, Fantastic Beasts, the headphones. Anyway, so what Fantastic Beasts did have like a little thin book about maybe that thin that I actually did own. It was just basically like a little guide. It didn't have any story or anything like that. So it was really interesting to see a brand new story involving magic. Not only involving magic, but magic in the US versus the magic in the UK that we've dealt with for like 10 years. I think that's how long they did these films for. The original Harry Potter films. I think they did it for like 10 years. Maybe longer. I'm not sure. But it was a long time. So this was a massive project and a massive undertaking for these filmmakers and J.K. Rowling, who wrote the screenplay. So I did very much enjoy the story of Newt's story, and I also enjoyed seeing the side of the MACUSA, which is the American government, wizarding government sort of thing. And it was very interesting, but they felt very split down the middle. But they didn't really connect until the very end, and it felt like it was almost accidental. It never really felt like these were intermingled stories that were going to connect and have a very fleshed out ending. It just sort of, by pure happenstance, the 2 stories sort of connected at the very last minute, and it just didn't really feel that engaging. Like I felt like I was watching 2 different movies cut into the same one. It just felt very disconnected, and I didn't really like that. I liked each story individually, but I didn't like them how they came together. Now the acting, on the other hand, I felt was very top notch. Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander nailed it. He's this adorable, awkward, shy guy, and he's just so awesome. He feels this certain, you see this awkwardness when he's talking to people. He makes very little eye contact with them. But when he's with his creatures, he very much embodies this positiveness, and he's very loving and caring. So he has this certain relationship with creatures that he just doesn't have with normal people, or wizards for that matter. And then there's Jacob Kowalski, played by Dan Fogler. Now he plays a no-mage, as they call, or a muggle if you're familiar more with the Harry Potter universe. And he has no magic whatsoever. He's just a regular guy. And I love Dan Fogler since like Balls of Fury and Fanboys and Good Luck Chuck. I loved his comedy then, but this is hands down his best performance. He puts in comedy, drama. He brings a life to this character that I honestly didn't expect from Dan Fogler. This was such an amazing performance from him. I think it almost would have been just as much fun if he was the main character of the entire thing, just to give a new, fresh take on it, but I guess that might be asking a little bit too much. I'm not entirely sure. But his character was hands down my favorite character of the entire film. Now, the other two standouts of this film, as far as acting goes, for me, were Colin Farrell and Ezra Miller. Now, both don't get a massive amount of screen time, at least that I was hoping to see. They got a good amount, but Colin Farrell's character is a man named Graves who works as an oar for the MACUSA, the American Wizarding Government. And he basically investigates and makes sure that muggles or no-mages don't get involved or notice or start to discover the magic world that's around them that they don't see in their everyday lives. His job is to keep it on the low. Now, he very much put me off, and I should have realized it when I was preparing for this video. I saw a lot of things in some trailers and stuff that should have given me the answer, because I wasn't sure when I was watching this movie if I should like him or if I should not like him. If he was good or if he was bad, but I'm going to explain more of that in the next video. Now, Ezra Miller's character is a broken man named Credence. I don't want to get too much into his character. I really want to save that for the next video. And his portrayal of this very broken, spirited man, you can see it portray even physically. He shows it a lot. He's very hunched over. He very much like cranes his neck a little bit. He's always looking down. He has a lot of pain. He shows a lot of pain. Even though he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, he certainly does show that pain. And I think that's one of Ezra Miller's strengths, is showing the internal struggle without saying anything. Like, he does a very good job of physical sort of acting in that way. Now, the visuals, of course, were absolutely phenomenal. However, it did take me a few minutes to sort of get into the groove of this story. Mainly because I think it was original. It wasn't based off of a book. There was no pretense story that I had to be familiar with in order to understand, or that I could reference to or compare to. So I really had to put all my faith into what was happening on the screen. Unlike the other Harry Potter films where you could read it, you could literally take it off of the page and put it onto the screen. This one you couldn't do that with. You really had to trust J.K. Rowling and David Yates, which absolutely you have to, because J.K. Rowling came up with the stories and David Yates has directed the most out of the series. So you really put your faith in these, in this cast and crew, and they delivered. It was definitely worth watching. I really liked it a lot. Again, I don't want to get into a whole lot of stuff about this movie. I'm saving it for another one, so I will definitely get that up hopefully soon. So let's go ahead and tell you the grade, because I don't want to spoil myself and ruin it just by me talking. So the grade I'm going to give Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a B+. This was a great time at the movies for any pothead, any Potter fan, any casual moviegoer. It's just a great experience. Even if you're not a big fan of like magic or like some of the things that are happening or the time period, it's a lot of fun to watch. There's a ton of great characters. Even the creatures are phenomenal. Nibbler was hands down my favorite. I'm probably going to talk more about that. But there's just so much to love, so much to discover. And there's so many little nods, Easter eggs to Harry Potter films, maybe what's to come. And I'm just really excited to see more. So, have you seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them? What did you think? Let me know. As well as go to pottermore.com, get yourself sorted into a house, and let me know down in the comment section down below what house you got sorted into. I got Ravenclaw. I'm not super psyched about it. I kind of feel like I would have taken any other house except for Ravenclaw, even Hufflepuff. But I guess I'm going to have to represent Ravenclaw. Let me know what you got down in the comment section down below. Also, be sure to click my logo. You'll see it in the next frame here in a few minutes. And that's what's going to subscribe you to my channel. Now, once you're subscribed, you can see future videos, including what's going to be coming up, my big Harry Potter review, not review necessarily, but Fantastic Beasts, more in-depth, stuff that I really want to talk about that I don't want to spoil for you guys. So definitely be sure to look out for that, as well as click onto it if you haven't seen it yet, or if it's already up yet. I'm not sure how soon I'll get to it, but that's definitely coming, and check that out for sure. I have a lot of things I really want to get in depth with about this movie. Guys, thank you so much for watching. You really are the best, and I'll see you in the next one.
I want to be a wizard.